All right, let's dive into one of the most intense, most dramatic confrontations you'll find anywhere in ancient history. This is an absolutely epic story of famine, of faith, and, believe it or not, a showdown decided by fire from the sky. It's a moment where a whole nation had to make a choice, and the outcome hung on a single miracle. See, the entire conflict, all the drama, it all boils down to this one question. A challenge was thrown down. A line was drawn in the sand. On one side, you have 450 prophets of a very popular God. And on the other, just one man, all by himself. The stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking about the spiritual soul of a nation. And the proof? Well, that would have to be a miracle. Okay, so to really get why this showdown had to happen, we need to back up a little and understand the crisis that started it all. The story kicks off in a kingdom that is literally dying of thirst, gripped by a terrible drought. So here's the setup. You've got this power couple, King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, and they've pushed the entire nation of Israel to worship a god named Baal. Now, Baal was supposedly the god of rain and fertility. Kind of important when you're in a drought, right? But then a lone prophet of the Lord steps onto the scene and directly challenges Baal's power by declaring there will be no rain. The whole nation is just thrown into this massive spiritual crisis. The man who delivered this bombshell of a prophecy was Elijah the Tishbite. I mean, can you imagine? He walks right up to King Ahab himself, and makes this declaration. This wasn't just some crazy weather forecast. This was a direct shot at the God their entire kingdom was worshiping. He was basically saying, you think your God controls the rain? Watch this. And here you can really see the two sides laid out. On one side, you have the Lord, the invisible, all-powerful God of Israel, who asks for total exclusive faith. And in the other corner, you have Baal, a literal idol carved by people who is worshipped for material stuff, like a good harvest. The conflict here is just crystal clear. Of course, when you make a public challenge like that to a king and his gods, there are going to be consequences. After Elijah's prophecy, the rain just stops. The famine kicks in, and Elijah has to literally run for his life and go into hiding. And this famine was no joke. It lasted for 3.5 years. But as we look at this timeline, what's amazing is how God provides for Elijah the whole time. In the first year, ravens, birds, are bringing him food. When the creek he's living by dries up, he's sent to a widow whose tiny bit of flour and oil miraculously just never runs out. It's a huge point. While the entire land is starving, the prophet of the God who stopped the rain is being taken care of. And the danger was very, very real. A furious Queen Jezebel starts this massive campaign to wipe out all of the Lord's prophets. But even inside the king's own palace, there was this quiet resistance. A man named Obadiah secretly risked everything to hide 100 prophets in caves. You can just feel the tension building. So, after 3.5 long years, God tells Elijah, okay, time to come out of hiding, go confront the king. And this command leads us straight to the main event, the showdown on Mount Carmel. The very first thing King Ahab says when he finally sees Elijah is to blame him for the whole mess. But Elijah doesn't miss a beat. He fires right back, saying, no, you're the one who's troubled Israel, because you abandoned the Lord to go worship Baal. He doesn't just defend himself, he goes right on the attack. Then Elijah turns his attention to all the people of Israel who've gathered around, and he hits them with this powerful challenge, basically forcing them to deal with their indecision. And what do? Nothing. Complete silence. They're stuck. They don't know who to follow. So Elijah says, fine, let's settle this once and for all. Just think about the odds here for a second. On one side, it's just him, one guy, Elijah, standing completely alone, representing the Lord. And on the other side, 450 prophets of Baal. And they've got the full backing of the king and queen. I mean, what a visual. One man versus a massive crowd. The rules of the test that Elijah proposes are just brilliant. So simple, but so decisive. He says, okay, each side gets a bull. We prepare it on an altar with wood, but nobody lights a fire. We each call on our God, the God who answers by sending fire down from the sky to burn up the offering. He is the true God. The people agree. The stage is set. And now we get to the incredible climax. This is it. This is the moment where faith is put to the absolute ultimate test. So the 450 prophets of Baal go first, and all day long, from morning till noon, they are just going for it. They're shouting, they're dancing, they're working themselves into a total frenzy. As the day goes on, they get even more desperate, even cutting themselves as part of their ritual.
And the result of all that? Nothing. Crickets. Complete and utter silence. No voice, no sign, no answer at all. Then it's Elijah's turn, and the contrast is just stunning. Compared to their chaos, he's totally calm and deliberate. First, he repairs the Lord's altar, which had been torn down, and then he does something that makes the challenge seem completely impossible. He has people douse his sacrifice and the wood with 12 huge jars of water, not just once, but 3 times, until there's a literal trench full of water all around the altar.
After a short, simple prayer, the impossible happens. Fire falls from heaven, and it doesn't just burn the sacrifice. It consumes everything: the sacrifice, the wood, the stones of the altar, the dirt, and it even licks up every last drop of water in the trench. It is an absolute, undeniable, and total display of power.
Well, the people's silence is broken now. They see this incredible miracle and they just fall on their faces, shouting in unison. All their doubt is just wiped away in a single instant. The question has been answered. So, what do we do with a story like that? It's way more than just a dramatic ancient tale. The source material is really pointing to a few core lessons that are meant to hit home for us even today. First, there's this call to stand firm. The whole story is a picture of one person standing for what's true against 450 opponents. Second, God sustains. We saw it so clearly during the famine. When things are hard, he provides for his own in miraculous ways. And finally, this idea of living the proof. That fire was undeniable evidence, and the story suggests that our lives can be that same kind of proof today, a kind of fire that shows God is alive and at work. And this all leaves us with one last big thought. In a world with its own pressures and popular opinions, what does it really look like to stand firm for what you believe in, especially when you feel like you might be standing all alone? It's a question that echoes all the way from Mount Carmel right down to us today.